It's 11:35, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance and Auditing Committee of Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. Before we begin, please note this meeting is being recorded. Welcome to everyone joining us here in person, as well as those listening on the phone. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not done so already, please let Thomas in the back of the room know, or Justine on the on-call line, about what items you would like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Thank you. Starting with Director Devlin.
Here.
Giudice.
Still here.
Still here. Hernandez.
Here.
Maston.
Here.
Verdoni.
Here.
Vice Chair Barr.
Present.
Chair Rabbit's absent. President Cochran.
Here.
Thank you. You are still a committee of the whole. Also in the room, we have Directors Hill, Parrish, and Snyder.
Great. And I'd like to take the opportunity. I noticed that all of us now have scripts. It started during COVID because we weren't in person, and it was just easier to have scripts. And thank you to Amaret and probably who else? And Dean for putting together this script. Sometimes it's a little awkward, but it does kind of keep the process going a little bit. So anyway, thank you. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. We'll begin with item number 3, which is ratification of previous actions by the Auditor Controller. The staff report begins on page 5, and Monique Spike, I think I saw you back there, from PFM is here with us today to go over the PFM investment report, which begins on page 9. Monique, welcome. Please take us through your report.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your time today. I want to start on page 10 of the packet, which shows the trends in interest rates between August 31st and September 30th. Notably, the Fed did lower the Fed funds target rate by a quarter of a percentage point at its September 18th meeting. So the current federal funds target range is 4% to 4.25%. On the next slide, I talk about some indicators that the Fed is looking closely at, which of course is inflation and unemployment. Right now, we're in a bit of a stressful period in that the number of U.S. economic data releases have been delayed by the government shutdown, which began on October 1st. And so most notably, last week, the primary critical indicators, retail sales, housing starts, building permits, industrial production, go along with a growing list of indicators that we just have not gotten. And so the market in some ways, and the Fed especially, has been data blind. The indicator that we do expect to be released this coming Friday was delayed, which is CPI. Now, it's important to note that, inflation across the board has been rising steadily. And I'm going to sort of refer to it as a boiling pot. We see it rising gradually since March, since the tariff policy has been implemented. Essentially, we're thinking that we'll see 3.1% on Friday. But there's been a recent economic study that was released by economists from Harvard, Northwestern, and Universidad de San Andreas that talked about the fact that price pressures are going to persist over the new year. And a lot of those have been delayed because folks have been waiting to see what the tariff policy would do, whether it would persist, front-running inventories, etc. But it is expected that the grace period for that is going to end shortly. We saw that China has been able to absorb, for the most part, the tariff policy. There was no rush to capitulate, and quite frankly, they're in a leverage position. So what does this mean? It means that those tariff prices may stick, those tariff rates may stick, and we're going to see producers start passing those costs on to the consumer. That being said, however, the Fed has made very clear that they're not as concerned about inflation as they are about unemployment. Across the board, employment has remained below the target necessary to, quite frankly, stabilize the unemployment rate. between immigration being down, government hiring and funding being down as well, tariff-related costs, and other macroeconomic risks. The Fed has indicated that unemployment is going to be their primary concern. A couple of months ago, you may remember the analogy I said, where the Fed thinks of it as, two children at a fair, and they have to see which one wins a race first to determine who they're going to chase. And unemployment has won that race. And so that means we expect another 0.25% rate cut this month, perhaps another in December, and we expect the Fed to perhaps continue reducing rates into 2026. Those are the headline things I wanted to share with you. As I said before, I'm going to move to
That's probably enough.
Yeah. As I said before, I'm going to move to page 18 of the packet and just again reemphasize that, the district's assets and our management philosophy has stayed steadfast throughout this period. One of the things we are is duration neutral, meaning that we're really focused on matching our portfolio structure or your portfolio structure to your cash flow needs. That means whether rates are up or down, whether there's volatility in the market, we have a very consistent, repeatable process for the district that has held us, in fairly good standing for a number of years. We've continued to purchase investments at attractive yields. And as rates decline, the investments that we've purchased over the past few years will hold income steady for a while. And we'll continue to watch what the market is doing. But I want you to continue to be assured that we're monitoring creditworthiness, we're being diligent, we're watching the market for opportunities, and we're continuing to be engaged with your staff on cash flow needs. So I'll pause there for questions.
Are there any questions for Monique? All ears. Go ahead. You have more?
I do not have more.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No questions, huh? Thank you. I say this each time. You're always so calm about the news that you bring us. And we all walk in here a little bit frenzied, and then you're calm and reassurance, that we can meet our cash flow needs, because the rest of the meeting today is about spending money and how we don't have money to spend. So we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monique.
Patrick,
Yes, Director Hill.
in the news this morning, I heard they're saying this is a good time to invest in your house or buy houses or properties because the interest rate is lower than it has been.
Yeah, the 10-year Treasury dropped below, I think, the lowest point in some time, and it's now below 4%. I think that there's a lot of focus on the housing market and the mortgage market, as you know, because rates had been so high. There had been a lot of stress on that market. Folks weren't buying because mortgage rates were higher than, they had been. And so I think, anytime there's a drop in the 10-year, which is a good proxy sometimes for mortgage rates, you start seeing the news that, perhaps some of those buyers who are on the sidelines, it's an opportunity for them to get back in at an affordable mortgage.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? That concludes our discussion on item number 3. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on this item.
Does anyone? Does Justine have anyone?
She has no one on the line.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion on agenda item number 3, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Starting with Director Devlin.
Aye.
Garbarino is absent. Giudice.
Yes.
Hardiman is absent. Hernandez. Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Parrish. Aye. Rodoni.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Beer is absent. Second Vice President Rabbit is absent. First Vice President Hale.
Yes.
Yes. And President Cochran.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 10 ayes.
All right, thank you. We'll now continue to item number 4A, which is budget increase in the fiscal year 25-26 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 2520, Golden Gate Suspension Bridge Towers and Sidespan Seismic Retrofit Construction. The staff report begins on page 27. Do we have someone that's going to talk to you about
We're here from July, so I recommend in the interest of time that if there's someone willing to make a motion, it'll get you through your remaining items more quickly.
All right. Do I have any, well, let me just ask for questions or comments. Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Yes.
Amazing job. Don't move. I didn't see Jennifer sweat at all.
That concludes the discussion on this. I assume there was a second in this.
Yes.
That concludes the discussion on this item. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak?
We have no speakers on this item.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please do a roll call?
Thank you. Starting with Director Devlin.
Aye.
Garbarino is absent. Giudice.
Yes.
Hardeman is absent. Hernandez.
Yes.
Maston.
Yes.
Moulton Peters is absent. Park.
Yes.
Parrish. Yes. Verdoni.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Peter is absent. Second Vice President Rabbit is absent. First Vice President Hill.
Yes.
And President Cochran.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 10 ayes.
All right. Thank you. We will now continue to item 6, which is to authorize execution of contract number 2025D088, Trust and Investment Management Services for the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District, OPEB Trust, with the U.S. Bank for Asset Management Incorporated. The staff report begins on page 33, and Jennifer Minucci is here to present the report. Good morning, Jennifer.
Technically, good morning.
Your report.
All right, thank you. Dear Chair Parr and members of the Finance Committee, this item is to request an authorization of a new contract with U.S. Bank Corp Asset Management for the OPEB Trust. This contract's 2025-D-88, and it's for $1.4 million, 3 years with 2 one-year options. The history of this really is that in 2007, the district entered into a professional services agreement with PFM Asset Management, and they provide the trust and investment management services for our OPEB Trust, and along with U.S. Bank. They've been serving as a trustee and custodian for the OPEB Trust ever since. And in 2021, PFM was acquired by the U.S. Bank Asset Management, which is a subsidiary of U.S. Bank. And so the agreement was then revised and amended to incorporate these changes. So this agreement now with technically U.S. Bank Corp Asset Management will expire February 28, 2026. Given that the OPEB Trust Board only meets twice a year, they met in March, reviewed the current vendor, and their proposal determined that they were competitive, and given the good history and returns on investment as well as responsive customer service, the Trust Board recommends that the Board authorize the execution of this new contract. Under this new contract, the pricing structure will remain unbundled. So the PFM fee for investment management for the OPEB Trust assets, the U.S. Bank's trustee, custodial, and trading fees, as well as the mutual fund asset managers' fees and expense ratios will all be segregated so that we avoid any potential conflicts between the U.S. Bank Asset Management and the U.S. Bank itself. In addition, PFM will directly bill the district for the investment management of the OPEB trust funds, while U.S. Bank will bill the district directly for custodial, trustee, and trading funds. Mutual fund manager fees will be netted out of the assets directly by the fees. PFM will not receive compensation from any other source relating to the investment management of the district's assets and does not charge any fee on assets invested in an investment fund with respect to any compensation is received directly or indirectly by PFM. So the fiscal impact is on there. It's got a lot of percentages, so I'm happy to walk through it, but I think you could read that fiscal impact. But at the end, this contract is for $1.4 million, which is roughly $280,000 a year for the a 3-year term plus 2 one-year options to extend. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on this.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there questions for Jennifer? All right. In that case, are there comments from the public?
We have no speakers for this item.
Mine also.
If that's correct.
All right. In that case, I need a vote. I need a. So. I was reading something and I went totally blank. All right. So I have a motion and a second. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Devlin.
Aye.
Garbarino is absent. Giudice.
Yes.
Hardeman is absent. Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston. Moulton Peters is absent. Park.
Present. Yes.
Parrish. Yes. Verdoni.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Thayer is absent. Second Vice President Rabbit is absent. First Vice President Hill
Yes.
and President Cochran.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 10 ayes.
Thank you very much. That's not the most embarrassing slip I've made in the last 10 days. So just to keep it in context. All right, we'll now continue to item number 7, which is the status report on the 2024 strategic plan. The staff report begins on page 45. And Jennifer, will you also present this report?
Yes, I will. And for the record, I do my script as well, so I stay on the topic and don't
It's a big topic.
go a long way. So, all right, this item number 7, this is your status report on the 2024 strategic plan. So as a history for those of you that may have not been here to review our strategic plan in the past, the district has previously created 3 other 5-year strategic financial plans that were focused to ensure financial stability as we inherently have a deficit given we're a user-based agency. So the board was going to embark on a 4th plan when COVID hit, so they put that off until January 2023. At that time, the board president focused on a broader perspective and worked to create a set of initiatives to address new challenges and look forward on the future of the district coming out of the pandemic and pass a strategic plan before you in May of 2024. The plan currently has 37 initiatives that envision the future shape of the district, and it was agreed that we would review this plan annually to provide a status on each initiative. As a reminder, this plan is utilized and serves as a way to prioritize work plans for the staff. Additionally, to note, just because any initiative is listed, it still requires that each initiative looking to move forward be brought before the board and its committees for approval prior to implementation. This plan is also living and breathing, so the status is updated annually, and the board always has the option to add, delete, or modify an initiative in the plan. Overall, the plan is made up of 5 major groupings. The first being customer service improvements, the second, improved transit service through regional coordination, the third, sustainability and climate responsibility, 4th, addressing the district's financial shortfall, and 5th, operational excellence. If you turn to, which you can see those listed on attachment A and kind of the criteria behind the strategic plan.
It's page 49.
Page 49, yes. But as you turn to attachment B, which is on page 51 in your packet, you can see the initiatives grouped by status. And as you read through these, you'll notice that the staff has been making progress, as this is the 2nd year that we've updated the plan and reported out. Most of the initiatives are on ongoing status, which means staff has been actively working on them, and being broad initiatives, they'll continue to work on them, but provide a status in the last column to the right. While I'm really happy to review all of them or any of them that you would like in particular, staff thinks this year that it would be prudent to focus on the 4th grouping addressing the district financial shortfall initiatives, given the projection report we had last month showing that we'll have an approximate $24 million deficit and a approximate $382 million over 5 years. The financial shortfall initiatives begin on page 55 midway through, and you can see that starts with initiative 21. So again, I won't go through them all, but just as an example, number 21 is the 5-year toll plan. We're always analyzing that. As you know, that's our largest revenue source. We want to ensure that we monitor the effectiveness of the toll increase and address any future funding needs. We also are mid-cycle to this plan, so we will have to plan on developing a new 5-year toll plan during this plan's tenure. If you look at number 22, we're also looking at ways to increase additional grant funding. You'll see the status for this is that we're looking to put out an RFP. We actually released that last week so that we can get some consulting services on a a more diverse set of bench of consultants so that we can seek additional grant funds. And then the last one I'll just use as an example is number 25. That's an example of this year we're starting to analyze the paid parking at all the district parking lots. We currently have a paid parking program in place, but this initiative gives us the opportunity to take a relook at the program to see if it meets its current needs and create a more comprehensive program across all of the district lots. So if you haven't had a chance to read the status on all these, feel free to take a look when you have time. Contact me if you have any questions. With that, I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions you might have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions on specific items for Jennifer? President Cochran, did you have your hand up?
No.
Oh, didn't want to miss anyone. All right, thank you. In that case, there's no action. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Director Hernandez.
Last minute, raise my hand. Thank you. And thank you, Jennifer, for your report, for keeping track of this, for this strategic plan. I'm wondering if staff has identified any areas that the board should pay particular attention to with regard to a need to add any initiatives to the strategic plan in any of the 5 or 6 major subgroups.
I think because this strategic plan was much broader than we've had in the past, the ones we've had previously really were, is kind of why it gets reported at the finance committee. We're financially focused. That the umbrella actually encompasses kind of our business and what we do. We're always looking for, more effective ways to run our service, make sure our employees are on recruitment and retention. So all of that to me has been encompassed in the 5 groupings. I think that this year, what we generally do with the work plan is use it as a guideline for staff to say, what are we going to focus on this year? And our recommendation is we focus on our financial shortfall. So we, while we're chipping away at all of them, that one in particular, I think we were going to try and make some progress a little bit more aggressively.
Okay. So we're good.
We're good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers for this item online or in the.
All right, thank you. There's no action associated with item number 7. We'll now continue to item number 8. Don't go away, Jennifer, which is the status report on the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. The staff report begins on page 59. And Jennifer, it's yours again.
All right, the status report. So as you know, this is the track your budget to actual. If you turn to page 61 is really kind of the guideline that I use every month. As a reminder, we're at $58 million to start on our deficit before our one-time funding. After our one-time funding, we're at almost $24 million. After our first quarter, we look like we are about $13.5 million in the shortfall. As you may know, seasonally, this is generally a good time for our revenues and in summer and fall. So as we go into the winter months on the revenues, we'll be watching that closely. But we are where, we keep chipping it down to our shortfall this year, but we also haven't been spending, our spending kind of ramps up later in the year and our revenues kind of flatten out. So we'll keep a track of it. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Jennifer? We've seen this one before. Thank you, Jennifer. Concludes our discussion on this item. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak to this item? No? All right, thank you. There's no action associated with item number 8. We'll move on to number 9, which is the monthly review of Golden Gate Bridge traffic tolls and bus and ferry transit patronage fares, as well as item 10A, the monthly statement of revenue and expenses, and 10B, the monthly statement of capital programs and expenditures. Jennifer?
All right, I will roll through all of 10 just to get us through here. If you look at page 71, I always use this for after one quarter. Simply put, we're up in all modes, which is good. So compared to where we were last year, bridge, bus, and ferry are all up, as well as revenues. Also happy to answer any questions on that. And then I'll just roll into 10A if you'd like, and that's really kind of your cash flow report. And so when revenues are higher than expenses for the month, that's a good sign. So we are at $13 million from a cash flow perspective. But as you know, we get grant funds maybe on one-time quarterly basis. So it's a timing really on just making sure we're receiving those revenues in a timely manner. And then for 10B, it's the quarterly report for the capital expenditures. So everything is on target there. And I really don't have, for any of the ones on 10, we're tracking where I would think we are first quarter, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Are there any questions for Jennifer on any of these? 9, 10A, or 10B? Thank you, Jennifer. Concludes our discussion on that item. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on 9, 10A, or 10B?
We have no speakers on those items.
All right, thank you. No actions are required for these items. We'll now continue with item number 11, which is review of the district's fiscal year 25-26 first quarterly report of judgments or settled claims. The staff report begins on page 93, and we have Kelly Vitale here to present the report. Hi, Kelly.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you too. So in front of you is just an information item. There's 7 claims for this past quarter, 4 workers' comp claims and 3 liability claims. And I'm open to questions if you have any.
Wait till we get to the page. No questions? Well, that's disappointing. I always like to hear your answers. There are no questions. That's why I was looking for it. I read it earlier, but I wasn't sure whether I had a question. Are there any questions? No. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 11?
We have no speakers online or in the room.
That was pretty easy. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, everybody.
No actions required for this item. We'll continue on to number 12, which is a review of the Auditor Controller's fiscal year 25-26 first quarterly report on authorized budget adjustments and budget transfers under the General Manager's authority. The staff report begins on page 95, and Jennifer's report is presenting this.
Me. All right, so
Yeah, we recognize you. You've been there before.
agenda item 12. So this is your quarterly report that we put out for any budget adjustments. There was one that happened in July to close out our ERP expansion, which is, our general ledger and finances. There was a 0 change because that was just a transfer. Other than that, there's nothing on this quarterly. There are any questions? Happy to take them.
Any questions for Jennifer? Anyone from the public wishing to speak?
We have no speakers for this item.
All right. That being done, concludes the discussion. No actions required. We'll continue with item 13, which is the review of Auditor Controller's fiscal year 25-26 first quarterly report on procurement actions and agreements under the General Manager's authority. The staff report begins on page 97. And Jennifer?
All right.
Per
Per the ordinance, we have a quarterly report on any of the general manager's procurement activities. You can see they're listed starting on page 101. These are really just to make sure that the board sees any of the actions that for the ordinance that don't not to exceed $250,000. So happy to answer. I think between Dennis and I, we'll know each one of these vendors. So if there's a question, happy to answer.
Thank you. Are there any questions on item 13 from the directors? Concludes discussion on this item and no action is required. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item or address the committee under number 14, which is public comment?
We have no speakers on this item or for public comment for this committee.
Thank you. With that, we've reached the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Hearing no objections, this concludes the meeting of the Finance Auditing Committee. Thank you, colleagues. The time is 12:05 p.m.